why are you here? And I said, you mean in the coffee shop here? Or what are you talking about? He said, no, why did God put you on earth? And it took me several years to be able to answer that question. So I was reading books and trying to figure out why do I exist? What am I really, really great at? And I was trying to take a nap one day, kind of half asleep, half awake, and just sat up straight. And the words "to connect and grow people" came out of my mouth. And so that framework, that template really set me up for these are the things that I need to be doing on a daily basis. If I'm not connecting and growing people, that's the culture inside the company, helping make connections that would, people that would be clients of Element 47, then I shouldn't be doing it.
On Creative Assembly's The Spark podcast, our mission is to amplify Nashville's diverse creative voices, foster growth through shared journeys, and inspire a city that thrives on collaboration. And now, here's The Spark.
Welcome back to The Spark. I'm your host, Mark Scrivner, and today I'm joined by one of my good friends, Eric Jackson, the founder and CEO of Element 47. I'm so excited to have Eric on the show today. He's going to tell us a lot about creativity and culture. And Eric, man, just welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to being on your podcast.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I guess I've been on your podcast, the EO podcast, which is amazing. And you guys have so many good episodes. So, yeah, we'll share it back with me.
Yeah. That adventure has been quite a good one. Getting to hear all these stories from EO members, it's quite the fun.
Yeah, well, podcasting is a great way to get the message out and to learn a lot about people. And I imagine you've learned a lot since you've started working on that podcast, right?
Yeah, when we first started, I was, doing I didn't start doing the intro. I started doing the intro later because Robert would fumble every name that was in front of him. It could be Bob Smith, and we've talked about this. I'm not throwing him under the bus. And finally, I started doing the intros. But then when the interviews kicked off, it's like, I kind of suck at asking questions. And so I leaned on him. But over the last few years, I've really grown and gotten more comfortable with it.
The roles have reversed.
Exactly.
Well, just for the audience, maybe just tell us the name of the podcast so we can add it to the show notes and they can go visit it as well.
Yeah, it's called The Decision by EO Nashville. And as entrepreneurs, we make a lot of decisions. And our membership in EO and being in a forum helps us make those decisions easier. We've got people who've been there and done that. And so we decided that would be the focus of it, people telling their stories about all the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. And I think it's been very useful. And there are people who've been in EO for a long time, like Arnie Malham and Richard Moscardelli. They'll reach out every now and then and go, man, the podcast is so good. I'm like, I guess. I'm glad you're listening, so thank you.
Wow. Well, we'll add that into the show notes again. But, getting back to the Spark podcast, maybe, being an agency owner, maybe you can just start off by taking the audience through your journey. What got you here into marketing and got you to Element 47?
Yeah. So I was really into car magazines when I was a teen. I'd look at Road and Track and things like that. And I just loved print and even television advertising. And I thought, well, that's something I'm interested in. I really didn't know that much about it. I grew up in Gallatin, back before the internet and all these other things. And so I decided I was going to go to the University of Tennessee and major in advertising. Actually had an opportunity to go to Vanderbilt and major in nuclear engineering and be part of the Navy ROTC program. And I didn't know that it was going to require me to be a nuclear engineering major. And when they told me that, I said, let me just save you guys a lot of time and trouble. That is never going to work out for me. So I went to Knoxville, did the advertising thing, and really, I never changed my major. I was one of those weirdos that just went right into it, took to it like a duck to water. And by the end of it, my goal was to never work for an ad agency. And it was, I think I kind of fell out of love with it. I was also not particularly well heeled back then. My parents were working folks, and there was not a lot of extra money. And so the idea of doing an internship was something that really wasn't going to happen for me because I needed to make money. And back then, there were not a lot of paid internships. And I thought I was smarter than everybody else. So I kind of graduated without any experience. And so moved back to Gallatin, ended up working I knew enough about graphic design that I was able to work in a small print shop. And the economy kind of sucked when I got out. The Gulf War had just started, the first one. And so worked in print shops and really became enamored with print, which is why I got into that field to begin with. And kind of job hopped a little bit, kept getting more experience, ended up in the process color business. So back in the old days, people would create catalogs and print through manual process. In the early 90s, that began to change, and the old tools of Quark Express, Photoshop and Illustrator, designers were beginning to use those tools. And so my friend Phil Merwin, who was one of my first mentors in business, had started a business. I joined him, and we started creating film for agencies and designers and turned that into a pretty healthy business.
What was the name of it?
It was Kensho.
Okay.
Which is a Japanese word, means to see into the true nature of things. My partner, Phil, was a big fan of Japanese art.
Okay.
And so as things happen, it progressed. Digital printing became a thing. Direct-to-plate became a thing. So film was going away. And so I began to look at, okay, this is probably not going to last. Phil and our third partner had plans to go buy a printing press and just be a full-service shop in an industry that, to me, was declining. And so I said, I think I'm out, guys. I'm going to go start a web development firm. And turns out I was right. They both said, you were the smart one. We should have gotten out all at the same time. But so I started a web development firm with the single dumbest name ever, Smoking Dog Interactive, back when, you had to show how creative you were, and you had to get a .com. And so sold that after like 9 months to craft CPAs.
Okay.
They, as CPA firms like to do, they've got this great base of clients, and they want to sell more things to them, and the internet was beginning to become a thing. And so went to work for Kraft for about 3 years, learned how to use Excel quite well, just being around all those accountants. And I just realized, I actually realized the moment that I signed the papers that I had made a mistake. And that was because I was no longer in charge. And as we entrepreneurs like to do, we like to run things, right? We like to be in control. So I didn't have that control anymore. But I learned a lot there. Really appreciate what the experience that I did have working in that environment, which I had never done before. And after about 3 years, decided it was time to do something else. And I left and started a company called Keystone Business Solutions, which was half IT and half website development with one of my coworkers. And so we did that for 16 years. It made sense at the time for those two things to be together. But over the years, marketing became more in charge of websites. And so after 16 years, Mike and I decided, let's split these into two separate companies. One of the most beautiful partnership splits ever. We actually had a conversation with Jim Cumbie, and he basically said, you guys are trying to make this too complicated. Just split the business in half, split the bank account, go your separate ways. You'll both be happier. And Element 47 was born.
Yeah, Jim is such a wise man, so he's helped us through a lot of deals as well. That's interesting. And I think we met when you were running Keystone. I think in the, probably not in the early days, but probably halfway through your journey with Keystone. I guess going back to the craft CPAs, what do you think, what did they see and why did they want a web shop when they're a CPA firm?
I think they saw blue ocean that they had lots and lots of business clients that were going to need a website. And that was an opportunity for them to keep their clients and to serve one more product to them that they're eventually going to buy. And, can't fault them for it. It was probably a little early. I mean, it was, late 99, early 2000. So it really wasn't mature. There was still a lot of hand coding going on. And so.
What were you building on back in that day?
There were no CMSs back then. We ended up building one while we were there on Cold Fusion. And it was really the Wild West. A lot of it was hand-coded. It was nobody knew what they were doing, and we were just kind of figuring it out as we went. And it was, not very dynamic.
Wow. Well, bringing it back to the current day, maybe just talk a little bit about Element 47 and kind of what you all do there, and what your specialties are. Yeah.
So we're actually in the midst of a brand refresh for ourselves. So we'd always kind of told the world that we were a marketing agency, and which we still are, but brand really is the thing that drives marketing. And while we would do brand strategy, we weren't really leading with that. And we wanted to start leading with that because we wanted our clients to understand that really matters. Because if you don't nail that, if you don't really know yourself and who your clients are and why they buy from you and how to express what it is that you do, what value you bring, then your marketing is not going to hit. So we're still in the process of doing that. I would not recommend anybody look at our website today. We're going to be launching a new one soon. It's the Cobbler's Kids Shoes concept.
Always say it.
Yeah. I got some pushback on making this shift from my team, but I also I know when to listen to others, and I know when I'm right. And I think ultimately most of the team is good with it. They are now. Everybody on the team is great with it, and we're beginning to see the fruits of that.
Well, you're so right, though, starting out with the brand, and it really locks you in to the client and, an ongoing relationship, I'm sure, with all of your clients. Not that you didn't have those before, but when you start out with that brand, it's just so intimate to people.
Yeah. And we're working with a lot of companies that are much smaller, and we're working in manufacturing, general contractors, people that build things and provide services. I mean, these are folks that, for the most part, they're working with their hands at some level. And so we're really excited about representing those companies that kind of are forgotten in some ways. A lot of those brands that are out there, those companies that are out there, we don't think, those would be great to work with because they're kind of old school businesses, but they need some love too. And the work that we've done with them really shows that, when you pay them some attention and you give them the things that maybe others have, but they have never experienced, great things come.
Boy, you're right. Well, Eric, what I know about you beyond just being an agency owner is that you are also like a connector, and you're very involved in the Nashville community I know you've served time, on the NAMA board, and I know you've, been the EO president. And I guess, when did Nashville stop being just a place that you worked and start being like a creative ecosystem that you're trying to build? Because I know you're doing some things now to even, and maybe we can touch on that of like what new endeavors you've got.
Yeah, I think it was really when I moved into Davidson County. So I lived in Sumner County for a number of years, got married, moved to Oak Hill, and began to realize, this is now that I'm actually in Nashville, it's a different world. And I began to meet people that were dynamic and doing great things. And I had kind of been insulated from the rest of the world. And It was not until I went through a program at Belmont that EO was. It was a collaboration between the two. Got paired up with a mentor, a guy named John White, who I was there to learn about culture, because at the time we were still Keystone, and I wanted to improve the culture of the company. And he challenged me one day by asking me the question, "Why are you here?" And I said, "You mean in the coffee shop here? Or what are you talking about?" He said, "No, why did God put you on earth?" And it took me several years to be able to answer that question. So I was reading books and trying to figure out why do I exist? What am I really, really great at? And I was trying to take a nap one day, kind of half asleep, half awake, and just sat up straight. And the words "to connect and grow people" came out of my mouth. And so that framework, that template, really set me up for, these are the things that I need to be doing on a daily basis. If I'm not connecting and growing people, that's the culture inside the company, helping make connections that would, people that would be clients of Element 47, then I shouldn't be doing it. And that's really what drove me to work with Ginger Jones, also former EO past president, to create Next Mile Network. And we just felt like we both have this massive network of people that we know and trust and love. We want to bring that community together to build more opportunity in Nashville. And it's really been a labor of love for both of us. We're almost 2 years in with that, and I think the sky's the limit for it. There's just so much great content that we're creating, and it's, there are a lot of people out there that maybe can't join EO or don't have any other sort of business community to be part of. So we kind of fill that space where solopreneurs, smaller businesses, people who are employees at companies can come and find community.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. I mean, the whole purpose behind Creative Assembly, which the Spark podcast is a part of, is to bring together the agency owners and, the creative community of Nashville together and kind of break down the barriers of competition in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing with that organization. And Ginger, you guys both are creating something extraordinary. So thanks for what you're doing for the community.
Thank you. And Creative Assembly is fantastic. I know I haven't been able to attend as much as I would like, but the times I've been, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's always fun to talk shop with other people in Nashville.
Yeah, well, thank you. I wanted to invite you to our next Creative Assembly gathering. It's our relaxed, bi-monthly networking event in East Nashville, where ideas spark over drinks and creative collaborations come to life. We meet at 1530 Riverside Drive with light snacks, refreshments, and plenty of free parking. Whether you're an agency owner, part of a creative team, a freelancer, student, or even a business owner curious about collaboration, you're always welcome at Creative Assembly. RSVPs aren't required, but they help us plan for space and treats. Just search Creative Assembly Nashville on Eventbrite or visit creativeassembly.agency/events for details and the RSVP link. Come ready for connections, conversations, and creative collaboration. We can't wait to see you there. Well, staying on the, your purpose of cultivating growth and connection. And I think I've read that on your site or in some of the research we did. How does that shape the services that you've built and you are building, where you're going to head? Yeah.
So whenever I have a new prospect, having that first conversation about what a relationship might look like, I tell them I know there are two things that are true, without argument. Number one, you have a vision inside of your head about what working with us might look like, specifically what you're going to get out of that. And so if I can't help us define what that is and put a sharp point on it and have a damn good chance of hitting your goal, I'm getting fired at some point. So I don't want to start this relationship, get into working with you, discover that what you really want is something that I can't provide. That's just a bad time. And So we've got to work to make sure that this is going to be a good relationship. And I think we've all taken on clients where we get into it, after a couple of weeks and go, I screwed up. We should not have taken this business. It's not good for either party. So we try to avoid that up front. The second thing is, I think a lot of people that hire an agency believe, well, they're going to work magic and they're just going to spit gold, and I just need to sit back and experience what they're going to do and just let them drive. And that's not a relationship. Mm-hmm. And an agency client relationship is truly a relationship. There's got to be give and take. So I tell them one of our core values is be bold. Inside Element 47, we have to have conversations. We have to disagree with each other. We have to be open and honest. We have to be bold. We have to say the thing, right? We may disagree with somebody else. We got to say it. I expect that from you, our client. If there's something that you don't understand, tell me you don't understand it, because if not, I'm going to keep going, and at some point, you're going to get mad, and I can't fix what I don't know exists if there's a problem there. So that really gives the client agency, pardon the pun, to push back and to ask questions and to make us prove ourselves, because ultimately they've got to get that result, and the decisions we're making hopefully are driving them to that point. So it just enables both parties to be able to say whatever's on their mind, and it just makes for a better relationship and a good time.
Totally, yeah. That's a great lesson too to share. Looking back over since you started Element 47, is there a project that shaped the way you're leading now today with the branding, how you're starting to pivot? Was there something back in the day that made you go, boy, there is an opportunity in the branding area?
Yeah, there've been a number of them. We've actually named a number of companies, startups, and crafted the entire visual and identity of the organization. Probably our favorite project most recently is Nashville dip pools. Okay. Are you familiar with the dip pool concept? Okay. So, we're running around Nashville scraping old houses off of lots and putting two houses on a lot. So there's not as much real estate, and people are spending a lot of money on homes, and they want a place to enjoy their yard. And so they want a pool, but there's not enough room for a big pool. So the dip pool is a thing. And I actually learned about this first from my wife. She wanted to have a dip pool, and I said, I'm not taking care of a pool. But we were introduced to my friend Jackson at Nashville Dip Pools, and it just didn't have the what his marketing and his website looked like did not reflect what he was delivering. And so we did a lot of talking and convinced him that this needs to have a luxury feel. And he had also read a book called They Ask You Answer, which Marcus Sheridan wrote, also one of my favorite marketing books. And the guy who wrote it, it was about pools. And so the idea is that if you answer all the questions that a prospect might have, you're going to build trust. And so he's just knocking it out of the park right now. It's been a huge success, and he's sending projects to us now, new opportunities. It's and we love what we did with him to create this great look. Spent a lot of money on all the photography and the video, and it's been amazing.
That's great. Well, your site reads, "There's a reason we say your team." Maybe just talk a little bit about what does that mean?
So again, back to culture. One of our core values is share the load. So internally, that means we're a small team, and so there are times when somebody's on vacation or they have a family obligation. It's time for the others on the team to step up. That also means that when you hire us as an agency, we're part of your team, and our job is to respond to your needs. And so we want you to tell us what's going on, and we want you to feel like, hey, we're there to help you grow. And so that relationship goes deep. I mean, we understand that we're there to serve that company, and we need to understand them at a root level and be able to deliver exactly what it is that they need. And we're there to be a partner.
Wow. Well, you've talked about core values a couple times, and I love it, man, that you have them and that you know them, and that it sounds like you and the team all live by them.
Yeah.
Maybe just is there, how do you keep them alive in your culture?
I think it was maybe Arnie Malham that mentioned to me, if you're not saying your core values and talking about them until your team is making fun of you, then you're not saying them enough. And when we created the core values after the Belmont program experience, it just became the roadmap. This is how we're going to behave. These are the expectations. If you're going to be on this team, then these are the rules that we live by. And so it's make it better. So everybody hires us, as I mentioned, to make something better for them. And we do not have that attitude that that's good enough, or we've always done it that way. That's just not language that we use. Make it better is probably the one that's mentioned the most, because we're there to continuously push and make things better. And then I mentioned be bold. Got to have those hard conversations. Master the craft is the third one. As you know, AI, it's a thing, right? It's changing the face of marketing and the world. And we can't stick our head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't exist and it's not going to make an impact. And we've had a lot of conversations in the team about how we're going to use it and how we're not going to use it. And our goal is to use it as ethically as possible. And I think in the future, in any industry, it's not going to be human versus AI, or AI is not going to take jobs. It's people who can use AI that are going to be the future. It's a creative partner. And I mean, when you really learn how to prompt and tell it, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and it will give you things that you never possibly could have thought of within minutes. And then it's incumbent upon you to riff on those things, to create content around that. And in my experience, there are very few tools out there that can come close to really replicating our voice and tone. And so we still write a lot of our own content with the ideas that we get from AI. So it's a game changer for sure. But we also want to make sure that there's always a human in the loop. We're not just spitting out stuff just for the sake of creating as much content as we possibly can. There's got to be that discernment of a human who understands the brand that you're working with to be able to create good work.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, that human connection, especially in the agency world with your clients. We've talked about it on other episodes with other agency owners of just, that the clients, they're looking for that relationship still, but they want to know that the agency is embracing these tools, one, to give better strategy, to, provide more content, because you can do it, you can exponentially grow the amount of stuff you're doing with still human involvement in every step, and then you can do it a lot faster than you've ever been able to do it before. And
SEO is dying slowly. I mean, it's probably never going to completely go away, but AEO, answer engine optimization, is beginning to become a thing. So more long-form content is really going to be important because, we're starting to get leads from ChatGPT and other platforms. So you got to be able to really put your express your value through long-form content. And there are other things, of course, but it's and I was at the Marketing AI conference in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago, and one of the speakers mentioned that search at Google was down 20% from the last month. Came back later and said, actually, it's 34% now. So SEO is rapidly changing, and
SEO, GEO, AEO, it's like there's so many acronyms, the generative engine optimization, and you're so right. I mean, and everybody, sounds like you're ahead of it for your clients, and that's what I think clients are looking for these days. But actually, we got our very first lead by somebody. I asked, how did you hear about us? And they said, I put in chat. I was looking for an agency in Nashville, and I put in chat, and you guys popped up. And I was like, wow, this is really starting to work. And you also, the Google search, it's like I can't remember the last time that I went into Google and searched for something versus going into chat or any of the other large language models.
I made ChatGPT my homepage instead of Google. So, if I'm searching for something, I'm really not using Google anymore. It's pretty rare.
Yeah. For like just staying on this track, for a student that, or a young professional that's like, looking for advice, like what advice would you give to them to be prepared to come out and take on an agency, opportunity with like you all or any other ad agency? What do you think is going to be an important skill set or mindset?
So my favorite professor at the University of Tennessee, DeForest Jackson, God rest his soul, he was a unique individual, sort of a legend in the advertising department at Tennessee. He told us one day that unless you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand their motivations, the reasons why they make decisions, you'll never be any good in this business. So, too many times we think in terms of what we believe is the right message or the right strategy, and it really requires us to do deep research and figure out, okay, what does the client want? The client of our client. Because it doesn't really matter what we think. Mm-hmm. It's what are the movers of their decision-making process? What are the pains that they're trying to fix? Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Mm-hmm. If you want to get fired, ignore that. And that's I think true of anybody working in an agency. You've got to sort of have this out-of-body experience and think how somebody else would think. And it requires you to kind of lose all your preconceived ideas about how a particular industry works, and have a lot of conversations with the client too, because they're interacting with their existing customers. Okay, you like this subset of customers? Let's talk to them and figure out why they decided to do business with you. Mm-hmm. That's where the answers are.
Yeah. I know you believe in collaboration quite a bit, and you've got some collaborative partners you work with around town and probably throughout the nation. But, there's one particular story is Bethany Newman at Statement, and you and we were all looking at Monday.com as a project management tool. And I think a lot of times people would think, like, well, Eric and Mark and Bethany, we all compete. Like, they'd never want to be around each other. And like I
hate Bethany, actually. I'm just kidding, of course.
I'm going to send this episode to her, but no. But it was so much fun to be in a space with you guys and looking at Monday and kind of dream, what are you guys doing? How are you setting up boards? And, it's just that collaboration is so important between agency owners. Yeah. And I guess maybe share a story beyond that one that, in Nashville, something that like surprised you or taught you more about like how the importance of collaboration.
So I got to give you a little bit of love first, because I think you exemplify that attitude as well as anybody in this town.
Thanks, man.
You have always been quick to talk about collaborating, and when we started talking about Monday.com and Bethany was interested in learning more about it, it's like, I'm ready to open the kimono. I'll show you guys anything and everything you want to know about this. And so I really appreciate that about you. We, of course, one of my goals with Element 47 is to really keep the core team small. Mm-hmm. Like, we want to own the things that we own. So we've got in-house website developers, front-end developers, and a designer, but there are things that we don't want to do: photography, video, copywriting. I mean, we do some copywriting internally, but so on that level, we're using a lot of contractors. We've got at any one time 20 to 30 contractors. So there's a lot of collaboration there, and these are professionals that don't want to work for somebody else, that are really, really good at something. And so, it helps us flex when there's, a lot of work to be done, and without bringing on people as full-time employees. And then we have worked with Michelle Keckler, for example. We collaborated on a project with her, and she is absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite human beings. We have lunch a couple times a year, and
she's amazing.
She is, and really, every time we get together, I've got a laundry list of things that I need to share with her, and vice versa. So we've gotten to know each other personally, and just really appreciate her take on how this business should be done. And our teams talk to each other on a regular basis. Brooke, who's my director of business development, and Michelle have become good friends. And there have been times where we get an opportunity and go, this is not exactly right for us. I think you need to talk to KNC. So it's not necessarily just working on projects together, though we have done some of that. It's, helping, and I tell everybody this, look, if you've got somebody that's looking for an agency, needs help with marketing at any level, tell them to have a conversation with me, and I'll help them find a home.
Yeah.
If it's us, great. If not, I'm happy to share the love and help them find the right partner.
Man, it's so important. And I do the same thing, and that's such a good place to be in. And that's why you've built the reputation you've built in town. So Michelle was actually one of the guests on the Spark podcast too. So appreciate you bringing her up.
Yeah.
If somebody was looking to collaborate with you all, like they had another agency and maybe they did this, like what are the important things that you look for, in a collaboration partner?
Yeah. I'll go back to core values again. When we are hiring people, we're bringing on clients, it's always through that lens of what do you believe in? How do you behave? And that's the hard part of the agency business. It's not necessarily the ideas. The ideas are going to come. We can all do great work, but they don't always pass muster. And we've got to have conversations both internally within the team and externally with any partners or clients. So being able to work through the tough times, kind of like a marriage in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to maybe admit when you're wrong, or give somebody else the floor for a minute. It's a relationship that you have to take seriously, and if you can't agree on what the ground rules are, and for us those are the core values, then it's probably not going to work.
Well, you talked about AI, and it is like every agency owner is talking about it. In fact, we ought to probably put together a mastermind group of all the agency owners in town and how they're using AI to be more effective or, more efficient. But how are you using it today? Like, is there one aha that like you could share with the audience that you go, man, this has really like changed the game?
A few things. Number one, my forum mate, Marty Reed, who is a technical expert, quite the genius, created something called, I'm going to mess this up, deepprompt.pro.
I downloaded it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sign up. He's now, you can use it for free or you can get the paid version. And it's pretty amazing. And, most of us by nature are a little bit lazy. We want to type in just a little bit of information and get some great information back. And deepprompt.pro will give you that opportunity to put the lazy prompt in, and it will, you can choose which LLM you're going to use, and it will craft a deep prompt that you can then go and paste into Gemini, Deep Research, or ChatGPT, or Perplexity, or whatever it is, and it really will spit out gold. The other thing I learned at the Marketing AI conference is a prompt format called CRIT. So you give it the context. This is the context of the situation that I have. Then R is role. This is the role that I want you, the LLM, to play. I is the most important one, I think. You want to have the first two right. Interview. Ask me one question at a time until you have enough information to give me good feedback here. And then the last one is task. This is what I want in return. This is how I want it formatted, or what sort of information I want back. So you put all that information in. It gives you one question after another, and it's really shocking how hard sometimes those questions are. You go, man, I never thought about that. And you sit there, and I use voice to text because I can speak a lot faster than I can type. And so I just respond to each of these questions, and the value that provides, it's much more clear. You get much better output by following that prompt. We've used it internally. Like as we're doing our brand refresh, we're beginning to use that, and I've used it for personal things, and it's pretty shocking how good it can be.
Yeah, man. I'm going to have to call Marty and find out. We'll put his tool in the show notes as well to promote it. But I did download it, and I've used it a couple times, and it is very interesting and very effective. So I guess like looking forward 5 years from today, where do you hope Element 47 is? Where do you see it? Where do you hope it gets to?
Great question. Something that should be on everybody's mind, no matter if you're in the agency business or not. I'm really focused on the things that I'm best at. Again, going back to connecting and growing people. So I want to be at a place where Gretchen and Brooke, who comprise the 2/3 of the leadership team, they're essentially running most of the day-to-day now. And so I really want them to continue to grow as leaders, and we've invested in both of them to help them get there. I want to be able to do more and more of the relationship building, the thing that I think that's the only thing I'm really great at, I believe, that I'm called to do. And I think as long as I've got those two and the team behind them doing all the hard work that, frankly, I've kind of lost my passion for in some ways, because I still step in and do some creative work from time to time, but it's really important for me, again, to connect and grow people. I want them to learn. I want them to get better every day. I want to make them professionals. So whether they retire from Element 47, which is highly unlikely, or if they go find another job, they're better for the experience. And it gives me the opportunity. I told my wife one time that she asked, how long do you want to work? I said, well, as long as I can put on a pair of pants and go have lunch with people, and you'll probably never stop me from actually working. And that's how I see myself building value in the business. It's I'll stick around as long as Gretchen and Brooke want me to, and until Katie gives me the hook and it's time to go to greener pastures.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years, I see us not really getting much bigger in headcount, but really doing much more and better work than we ever imagined we could do.
Is there, as we start to wrap up, Eric, and appreciate all your insights and your journey, but is there anything maybe I didn't ask that you think could be helpful for the audience?
I liked one of the questions that you sent me earlier in the week. It was, what is the most common misconception that people have about the agency business? And that's a multi-layered conversation that we could probably spend an entire podcast on that alone. But I think it's probably, if you can sum it up, it's all about, if you're going to do it well, it's all about self-awareness. I am amazed every day at my team when we're having conversations. Maybe we're having a conversation with a client or a prospect or one of our coworkers. They pick up on some things. They have this sixth sense, and I think it really requires us in this agency business to really listen to everything, to watch people's eyes, because they're communicating with us all the time. But not everybody's listening. Mm-hmm. And so if you can get good at that, you'll have a better experience, and everybody around you will too.
Yeah, Eric, it's easier today than it's ever been to start your own agency.
Very
and there's
true.
a ton of great people going out there and doing it today. So that's a good insight for people. And Eric, I really appreciate your friendship, but I appreciate everything you're doing for the Nashville business community and the creative community. You're involved in so much, and we're going to add all this to the show notes, which will make it about a mile long. But thanks for everything you're doing, and thanks for being a part of the Spark podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to share with our audience, and appreciate you coming back week in and week out and being a part of Creative Assembly's journey and how we're trying to lift up the creative community in Nashville. So thank you for taking time, and until next time, we'll see you then.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Spark from Creative Assembly. Thanks for spending time with us and exploring the minds shaping Nashville's creative future. If you're walking away more inspired, connected, or energized, that's exactly the point. A big thank you to our sponsor, Snapshot, and the incredible team behind the scenes who make this show possible. Your support fuels every conversation and keeps collaboration alive. So if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep that spark.